a little, it's so slow to like start the recording.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we always have this awkward silence. We're both sitting there. But hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of From the Fourth Line. My name's Emma, and I am joined as always. From the Fourth Line, presented by Offside News, and I'm joined as always by my lovely co-host Marcie. I am determined to get through this intro properly. Do I need to like have something like just behind my computer screen that has it written out for me every time so I remember to always say that we're presented by Offside News because that's important. But yeah, hello. Welcome. Welcome back to the show. Beliefs, huh? We have three games to get through.
They're a team.
3 games to talk about. They're a team. We have 3 games to get through, and luckily that we only have to preview one. I believe. It's like, do they play it back to back on Wednesday? If they do, I'm about to be so upset. I switched over to November, so I actually no longer have because like I have a calendar that sits behind my computer on my desk where I record episodes, and usually I'm pretty on top of things. And each month we'll go through and write out the Leaf schedule in that calendar, so I have it like in front of me for the show. It just switched over to November, and I had a kind of a busy weekend, so I didn't get around to it. But for those who are wondering what the calendar is, because it's really funny that I write out the full Leaf schedule in it, considering what the calendar is, it is the Leafs like Pets and Paws. Like it's the Leafs dog calendar that the Penguins Foundation puts out every year. But Mr. November is Sidney Crosby. So
what a treat.
I do get to stare at Sidney Crosby for a month.
You get to become very, very invested in your schedule for the next month.
Yeah.
You need to look at it all the time to make sure nothing's changed.
But yeah, no, they don't play again till Friday after Tuesday. Yeah.
That's crazy.
We will talk about Tuesday's game because just the whole concept of everything that's happening on Tuesday, plus specifically this Leafs matchup, has me like stressed. Yeah. It's the worst. Who decided this? Who at the NHL decided, yeah, this is what we're going to do on this specific day, knowing that this is going to happen? But we're going to not talk about the future. We're going to first talk about the past and talk about Leafs versus Seattle. It's Halloween. It was a very special game. They were playing the Seattle Kraken, which I think is probably one of the more Halloween themed teams in the league. But yeah, so it was on Thursday. Halloween game. Joseph Wool gets the start versus Joey Daccord. So it was Battle of the Joeys.
It was Joeyception.
Joeyception. But yeah, it was also really nice as well because we can do this because we're presented by Offside, but some of our Offside editing crew team, Randy, Avery, and Ariel were there at the game. Had a grand old time. Friends of the show, because we've had Randy on the show, and Avery and Ariel are like technically our bosses. But like Avery hates it when you call him boss though, like even just like
they're fun bosses.
They're not like other bosses, they're cool bosses. But yeah, also as well, Seattle was without Brandon Montour due to the birth of his second baby, his daughter, I believe. I actually have no idea how this is pronounced because it's spelt out like maison, which is house in French. But I doubt that's how it's pronounced because why would you name, like maybe it's just pronounced Mason?
Yeah.
But also it's a girl. Look, I don't know. I've stopped questioning baby names. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that's actually really cute. And sometimes I'm just confused. And I don't mean to like shame Brandon Montour and his wife. I just mean it in a way of like, wouldn't name my child that. But also, I'm not someone who's penchant for getting creative with names, especially baby names. I have a really basic name, and I'm fine with having a really basic name. You know, I was very lucky to never get made fun of for my name because I have a very basic, boring name.
It's a lovely name.
Thank you. My parents picked it out. I had no choice in the matter. But yeah, also as well in the lineup, there was no Reeves. Robertson was on the fourth line, and I'm trying now to remember what these goals look like based on my notes. I do. Oh, okay. I will say Matthew Nyes opens the scoring. And my note that I have for this one is why we drive the net.
Yep.
The Leafs have been scoring more and more of these goals in this way than they did at the start of the season. Like, it was really, really obvious against their first few opponents of the season. So, like, Montreal and Pittsburgh and New Jersey, that they were just not, like, they had to drive the net more. And now they're doing it.
Yeah.
And it's getting better. And now I feel like it's more consistently happening, which is good.
Yeah.
I also as well, Leafs are scoring more rebound goals. Now, this graphic that I'm talking about came from game against Seattle, or at least it was a Sportsnet graphic. I think it was game against, not Seattle, it was game against St. Louis, is where I got this graphic where the Leafs are way up in rebound goals. I think they're now like first in rebound, like they're up. It was like first or fifth. I really should have just like taken a picture of the graphic. I really did not. I totally forgot. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I think it's something to do with like they're like first in it's like first and fifth. I think they're first in rebound chances and fifth in rebound goals or something like that. That sounds about right. Which is way up higher compared to what they were last year. And I know maybe this will like even out throughout the course of the season. We are only a month in, and I think people need to remember that. But yeah. I also say, yeah, also, oh, this is why I wanted to talk about this goal in particular, especially with linking to the conversation that we had last episode with the game against, or was it last episode or was it 2 episodes ago with the game against the Bruins and the Mitch Marner pass instead of shooting?
I think it was last episode.
Was it when I sounded like crap? Probably. And this one was, it was like Marner had, it was essentially almost the same thing. It was on this goal in particular where Marner passed to Nyes instead of took the shot. And I immediately saw the screen grab everywhere on Twitter of people going, he should have shot it. Like, why didn't he shoot it? Guys, look at where, like, you're only looking at, like, where Mitch Marner is. You're not looking at like everything else. Like even this is one where I'm like, you could look at a snapshot and be like, no, I absolutely could see how the scenario played out, how it did, and why he chose to take the pass instead of like why he chose to make the pass instead of take the shot. You can actually see that Joey Daccord is like mid push. Like you can see that he is extending off of his goalpost to come across the crease to cover Mitch Marner. Because that is what Joey Daccord sees as he sees Mitch Marner and he's like, oh shoot, it's Mitch Marner. Gotta go cover my other post. And also like not the fact that there was nobody in between Mitch Marner and Matthew Nyes. So the pass could like there is no one covering that pass. And also Matthew Nyes is right there on the other side. So when Joey Daccord pushes off and covers the other post, guess who has a wide open net? Matthew
Nyes.
And guess who scored? Matthew Nyes. So guess what? It doesn't matter.
Literally, that's what does my head in the most. It's when people lose their minds about this, and it's like, they still scored!
No, literally, that was the thing too, where I was like, why are we losing our minds over this? The goal still happened. Literally, the Leafs were still up 1-0 by the end of this sequence. This is approximately like 2 seconds before the goal happened.
It really makes...
I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, really, with this one. And also as well as like, it's not like people are like when it comes to like because I feel like a lot of players, especially a lot of star players, have like a specific stat that they get associated with when it comes to calculating how good they are. Like Austin Matthews, people only talk about how many goals he scored. People don't really look at his like combined points total. No. Where it's when it comes to Mitch Marner, everyone looks at his combined points total. Everyone's like, he's not a 100-point player yet because he hasn't hit 100 points. It's like, well, he's 98, round up. I can right? But like, hey, guess what? The magic of stats is assists and goals when it comes to points are worth the same amount.
No,
A
honestly,
point and a goal, like an assist and a goal, both worth 1 point. It's okay, yeah, maybe he has one less goal. Or maybe, in fact, he doesn't score at all because Joey Decord gets over and makes a save.
I just think seeing people lose their minds about Mitch Marner not scoring a goal that wouldn't have gone in and was then very quickly scored by Matthew Knight. Seeing everyone lose their shit over it on Twitter, it makes me feel really smart because I have at least an ounce of common sense, and I use it, and I use my brain. And I just think, wow, it's so nice to be able to think. Full stop. Because it's just, like, guys, come on. We're a month into the season. Goals are still being scored. Stop whining, please. Like, if you're gonna whine, at least whine about something that deserves it. And not just, let's shit on Mitch Marner for the sake of shitting on Mitch Marner. Because then you're just not being productive.
Yeah, there's actually probably there's so many more people you could shit on the Leafs right now. It's not even funny. Max Domi is right there.
Literally, why are we shitting on Mitch Marner when Max Domi is right there?
And we're going to talk about Max Domi because I have a whole rant prepared about Max Domi, specifically involving last night. But we're going to move on. William Nylander, I just have William Nylander, you are insane, William Nylander Joker mode, because he scored 2 goals and they were fantastic and they were gorgeous. And our resident William Nylander fan and expert, I would argue as well, Miranda was there, friend of the show. She was there and she got to witness it and she was very, very happy about it.
She was over the moon.
Over the moon. Those were just 2 like gorgeous, like you're like, oh yeah, those are William Nylander goals. Because sometimes like William Nylander like scores goals and you're like, yeah, he would score those goals, right? He has a really like, I think it partly is because of like he's just so nonchalant about everything, but like the style that he brings to his play, love it. Yeah, I have Leafs are still taking bad penalties. I have a whole rant, and that specifically then applies more so to like the St. Louis and Minnesota games about like the Leafs like they need to stop taking the dumb penalties because they've been taking all they've been taking is dumb penalties, and it pisses me off because their penalty kill is not that good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Seattle. Then I have like Seattle pulled Decord with like 5 minutes left, and I was like, that's insane.
Choices were made.
That was no, because you noticed that too. It would happen so early.
Yeah. I mean,
did you watch
wasn't available to watch the full game.
Oh, so you didn't see this part?
I watched the highlights, and I am gonna watch it back when I stop having a billion things to do. But yeah, they pulled him very early. And it was a choice, and it was a choice that worked well for us. So please, can everyone pull their goalies stupidly early? But as a treat.
Yeah, it ended up working though with. Oh, I meant to look up how to pronounce this name before the show.
Oh no.
I really meant to because I was like, I don't want to. Oh God. It's just like because I want to get it right, and that's why I want to look it up. And I know people are gonna be like, oh, how do you not know? Hey, I'm trying. There's an effort being made. Excuse me while I go to Hockey Reference. Okay, Ailey Tolvanen. Thank you, Hockey Reference, for your pronunciation guides. They are honestly goated. I will admit. Okay, like, and also you can have, like, I can have some grace with that. He plays on the Seattle Kraken. Philvin plays on the Seattle Kraken. I watch 2 Kraken games a year usually, just because I actually cannot stay up late enough for the West Coast games. I really wish I could. And I know some people are like, oh, but late night hockey's the best. I'm like, yes.
So
But these games, but I also literally went to bed last night at like 9:30, which makes the fact that I got up at 5 and then fell back asleep and slept until 11 even better. I got like a solid, like, I think probably about 12 hours of sleep I probably got in total, because I like woke up and was like up for like 45 minutes between like at like 5 when I got up at 5 o'clock, just trying to fall back asleep.
I dream for the day.
I'm so well rested. But yeah, so he scored 1, kind of rooting, goes full shutout bid. What can you do? And then we have the Austin Matthews empty net goal from God. That's what I'm calling it. This, because it reads like a freaking trigonometry problem, I swear to God. If Toronto Maple Leafs, I literally think this could have been something in like my grade 10 math textbook. If Toronto star forward Austin Matthews is shooting a puck onto an empty net, but uses the boards to create a 90-degree rebound angle, what angle is Austin Matthews shooting from? Or like something like that, right? Where I have to like use like SOHCAHTOA or something.
Oh my God, SOHCAHTOA. You just taken me back.
I hopefully everyone loves the SOHCAHTOA reference. It was like the only thing that I was really, really good at in grade 10 math. Everything else I was like ranged from just okay to bad.
Yeah, as the resident, I'm really, really bad at maths person. Yeah, I could do SOHCAHTOA because it was replace the letter with a number and put it into the calculator. I was very happy. But yeah, I think in the equation, you could probably throw in the angle of the slope of Austin Matthews' forehead, and it'd still make sense.
We won't do that, but yeah, bank shot off the boards. The Mike Johnson 8-ball corner pocket call. Did you hear the call in the highlights?
Vaguely remember it. I definitely should have rewatched the highlights earlier.
Well, it wasn't even that. It was just people were posting that clip because the call was like that good. This is why I love TSN broadcasts. They are the closest thing the Leafs will, like, they are regional broadcasts, but they are I have my own qualms with like broadcasting, like national broadcasts, and this, not national broadcast, but just like hockey broadcasting in Canada. Because it is a very different environment than it is in the States, because like we don't actually have like a true regional we don't have true regional broadcasters. We just have regional broadcasts from national broadcasters. So it really sucks because we still like experience like regional blackouts, and it's like it is not accomplishing what regional blackouts are meant to accomplish. Anyways, I have my qualms with it. But yeah, it was just a crazy angle. And then my last note is like the power play is dire because we're not scoring on the power play.
It's miserable.
And it's still not like fixed.
No.
And we're going to talk about when we talk about the Minnesota game, it's still not fixed. It was really, really noticeable in the game, Toronto and the St. Louis game. Not so, like Toronto, Seattle is fine. We won the game, whatever. But like Toronto could have probably won the game against St. Louis if they could score on the power play. So we're gonna talk about that. Joseph Wool gets the hometown start. I love being right. I literally said it. I said they're gonna start Joseph Wool against like in St. Louis, give him the hometown start. Because they're gonna use Stolarz against the much better and much hotter Minnesota Wild. And you'd be like, well, Emma, the Leafs still lost against St. Louis. That's none of Joseph Wool's fault.
No.
I need you guys to realize that, yes, okay, the goalie, like, because the goalie can win you a game. Like, a goalie, the expectation for a goalie is for them to give you a chance to win. The thing is they can only give you a chance to win. They can't, like, win you a game because goalies don't score goals very often. And you need to score goals to win. And you need to score goals on the power play because it makes it easier to win. And if you aren't scoring goals on the power play, you're not going to win.
Exactly.
This game is proof of that.
Literally, you can't put the whole, like, the goalie either wins or loses the game for us, because you have, on the ice, you have one goalie. How many people do you have? How many skaters do you have on the ice? I wonder. I think it's more than one. Well, that's debatable sometimes. But it annoys me because it's like, yes, the goalie is there to stop goals being scored. The goalie isn't there to do all that, to have you essentially just stand on the ice and not do anything to help.
Yeah. And, like, also as well as, like, yes, the final score was 4-2. One of those goals was an empty net. So really the game was 3-2 when you think about it. Like, and I, like, because this is the way that I like to look at it if we're going to judge a game based on a goalie's performance, is you don't count the empty net goals because they don't count.
Yeah, like, they're not.
They don't go against a goalie save percentage is how I'm going to put it. Is they don't go against it. Like, Mitch Marner was the goalie for that goal. Literally, he was.
It happens.
It happens. But yeah, I just, like, you could have won if you could score on the power play, because I think the Leafs had some power play opportunities throughout the game, but also after Steven Lorentz, like, brought the team within one, I think they had a couple of power plays then afterwards, if I remember correctly. The game got really chippy.
It was very...
And, like, my biggest qualm about this game, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty details in just a little bit, is that the Leafs this season, because this is at the end of their season series against St. Louis. They don't play St. Louis again this season because they only get 2 games. But in these 2 games, they have made Jordan Binnington look like a competent goalie and therefore is making him look like a good option for Team Canada for 4 Nations, which is bad. Which is so bad. Because Jordan Binnington is not as good as his performances against the Leafs have been. Like, he is not that goalie. That is not who Jordan Binnington is. And I'm not even saying I don't want Jordan Binnington for Team Canada for 4 Nations because, like, I don't like him as a person, which is, like, also true. But I'm saying it because he's a bad goalie. I watched him at Worlds last year. It was painful. Joel Hofer is by far the better goalie in St. Louis. And it's just against the Leafs, for some reason, Jordan Binnington looks like a god. And therefore, there's going to be someone there who's going to be like, this is our guy for 4 Nations. Like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Unfortunately, unfortunately, our, like, other options aren't great. The short list of Team Canada goalies is dire. We're including Marc-Andre Fleury on that list. That's how dire it is. Marc-Andre Fleury is good. And this is no, like, bash against Marc-Andre Fleury. Marc-Andre Fleury has played 2 games this year and is also about to retire and is also, like, 39 years old.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to rely on him. You should have other options.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, like, Adin Hill, yes, he is one of my choices for Team Canada. I think people, like, are forgetting him because he's never usually available for Worlds, and Jordan Binnington always is. Joel Hofer, I think you could put him in there. People are saying Stuart Skinner. Stuart Skinner is, like, good, but then he's really, really bad when you need him to be good, and it's a miserable experience.
He's either really, really good, or, like, when he's bad, he's really, really bad.
Yeah. And then also, as well as
it's going to be good or bad until it's too late.
And then the other name that gets thrown around is Sam Montembeault in Montreal, which, like, he had a really good start to a season and kind of falling off the tracks, but, like, some of that is just the defensive uncertainties in Montreal right now. Still a very young decor. And, like, that's the other thing, too, that we have to think about. Like, some of these goalies are on bad teams or, like, not great teams. So is it, like, when you give them, like a proper, like, blue line in front of them, will they do better?
Who knows? Because a lot of these teams don't do that.
Like, if you give them, like, a top class, like, a really good blue line, like Team Canada actually is capable of putting together. Like, guys, we have Cale Makar. Guys, we have Cale Makar. Like, crazy, I know. But we have Cale Makar. But yeah, we could do a whole separate part on Four Nations and stuff leading up further up to the tournament. We could probably spend some time on it. But yeah, for this game, Reeves in, Robertson out. I'm not mad about this. I saw some people getting, like, really offended for Nick Robertson, being like, he should be in. Like, why are they playing Reeves over him? Robertson's been, like, good. Like, he's shown promise, but also as well. St. Louis is mad right now. St. Louis has a lot of guys hurt. St. Louis just played and absolutely got destroyed by Ottawa. If you saw that game, that was bad. I have the joy of writing about that game this week. I have to get better. I have to actually start, like, writing stuff and not just, like, putting stuff in a Google Doc about, like, ooh, stuff happened. But yeah, like, also as well, like, guys, they play the next day. And Minnesota is really good right now, and I don't know why.
They have the power of Brock Faber and lesbians on Twitter.
Maybe. But yeah, so, like, I'm fine, like, keeping Robertson out for, again, St. Louis, if you're going to then have him play on fresh legs against Minnesota.
Yeah.
Whatever. Mitch, like, internal competition, like, whatever. I was like, don't read too much into it. It's no big deal. Mitch Marner, lovely, gorgeous goal. See, Mitch Marner can score goals.
And he can, because they are beautiful.
Yeah, that was a good goal. And then Colton Parayko with an absolute bomb.
Sorry, people are setting off fireworks.
Oh.
Which, it's a Monday night, guys. Why? Save it for Tuesday.
Yeah. Colton, like, and this is that goal in particular, that's the one with the coverage where no one, like, this actually game again is another game that really much sums up the Leafs, like, poor defensive positioning that I keep pointing out every single episode of the show all season. I sound crazy. But yeah, just, like, this one especially, like, there was a screen that was, like, no one was actually, there was a screen in front, and I don't even think Joseph will ever saw the shot go off.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Jordan Kyrou, like all of these goals actually can just, like, be summed up by the Leafs having poor defensive positioning, where you're like, okay, so who are you covering? And then it's Joseph Wool getting left out to dry.
It's like
essentially, because then Jordan Kyrou then And then Colton Parayko again, because he has an absolute bomb of a shot. Oh my. Yeah. And I also have to keep in mind, like, Joseph was coming from injury. Like, he played, like, what, 1.5 preseason games?
Yeah.
Then missed 3 weeks. And is now trying to get back up to speed. And so he's playing well. And I also think as well is, like, it could be worse. We could have our goaltending from last season.
Yeah, just think about last season. Before you go to complain, just take a moment.
Yeah.
This time
yeah. And then Steven Lawrence, 3-2, fourth line magic. That goal was presented to you by From the Fourth Line. No, it was not. I wish we could set up a deal where it was like anytime someone from the fourth line scored a goal on the Leafs, it just was like, that goal was presented to you by From the Fourth Line.
One day
we will get there. But yeah, I love, like, I think I know some people are very critical of the fourth line.
Because they have fun.
Fun, but they also don't really recognize what the fourth line does. I know you want people to score goals, but also lines have identities, not just teams.
Yeah.
Put that on a t-shirt. Lines have identities, not just teams, from the Fourth Line podcast. Ooh, actually, you know what? I should put that in the offside Discord while I'm picking up.
Oh god.
But yeah, no, and then Pavel Buchnevich with the empty net goal. Leafs power play ranked 32nd in the league. After this game against St. Louis, it was at an 8.3%, baby. Woohoo! Oh. It was like 3-38, which is brutal. That's so bad, and it can't be like.
It's starting to look like the numbers on the front of the math tests I get given back. That's how bad it
is. See, now I've forgotten my exact wording of what I just said like 20 seconds ago. It's like, what, lines have identities, not just teams?
Yeah. Oh, dear me.
But yeah, Leafs, yeah, it can't, like, my frustration with the Leafs power play is it can't be like a skill issue of like the guys on the ice.
No.
Because like that skill group has scored on the power play a lot. It can't be a skill issue. It has, like, and I don't know if it's a coaching issue or what. I don't know what it is. And it's and I know it's probably, like, I know last year, and and I think I pointed this out on the show when I saw, like, eventually realized what it was, is there was just an extra pass on there before the shot every single time. But I don't know if that's what it is. I'll probably have to just watch more of it, because it just is like, whatever. Oh, this game, though, had the back and forth Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews pass. That was pissing me. I'm not very much one person to yell shoot the puck at the TV. But that cute little back and forth between the two of them was not very cute. What, it was just them going, no, you have it. No, you have it. No, you have it. I'm like, shoot it. Shoot it. Why are we doing this? What is this? Because then eventually it led to a turnover.
Yeah, it's like, oh, if I'm not going to shoot it and you're not going to shoot it, then no one's going to shoot it, apparently.
If I'm not driving the bus and you're not driving the bus, then who's driving the bus? No one's driving the bus.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was not also as well as, like, we can't just sit here, but, like, it was not a great game from Tanev either.
Not his finest.
No. Yeah, and then I have, like, net front kerfuffle. This was the one where, like, Marner gets cross-checked right directly in the numbers so hard that he falls over, and then Matthews goes after Ryan Suter, and Matthews is the only one with the penalty.
Yeah.
What the hell was that?
I love when
I was like,
make sense.
I would love to know, because it wasn't even like it was it purely was Marner did not have the puck, was not even like anywhere, like it wasn't even like oh, you got too close to my goalie, like he was nowhere nowhere at all interfering with me. It was just Ryan Suter fully like bringing his arms back and going straight across the numbers with Mitch Marner, and I saw people going, oh, Marner fell over easy. I was like, no, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Use your eyeballs, you have them.
It wasn't like Ryan Suter like nudged him with his arms out straight. He fully.
No, it's stupid.
Yeah. He like fell over, and Ryan Suter did not get the penalty, but like Matthews did, and I was just very confused why like Matthews why like Suter didn't get something for cross checking or interference. Either one works. Probably you could do cross checking.
Yeah. But no. That would make too much sense. There.
Yeah, and then I also have as well was like, so the officiating wasn't great, but this game also kind of sucks for St. Louis because Philip Broberg left the game after Mitch Marner fell on him. Weirdly. And it was announced today that he is out 4 to 6 weeks, which sucks for St. Louis. They already have so many guys injured. So
yeah.
It sucks. And now we have the last game that we have to talk about. Jesus. We're like running through these rapid fire, and it's like, ooh, one more game to talk about. This was Toronto, Minnesota. It was less than 24 hours from puck drop to puck drop. So, but also as well, the time went back. Don't ask. But yeah, so Stolarz started. Holmberg was the guy left out, which was kind of surprising. I mean, he didn't have a great game against St. Louis. Right?
Yeah, it wasn't the finest.
Which is unfortunate, but like I think he probably understands, like he has to understand as well as like Dewar, and we'll talk about Dewar because him and Hunkapow are with the Marlies right now in a conditioning stint. But that's a guy who's coming back who like you kind of know what he can do.
Yeah.
And he very much fits well in with just like how he like very much like a meat and potatoes kind of fourth line guy who's like very good at that role and filling that in, and like will very much work in well with Craig Booth's like just like the play style that he's implementing with this team.
Yeah.
And so like he's gonna be in a spot and probably won't come out of the lineup very often. You've got to imagine. And I know like Connor Dewar is not going to save this team and is not going to instantly make them like Stanley Cup winners. That's not how this works.
No.
But like I do think it will very much solidify an identity and make the fourth line better, which I know is what people have had critiques about recently, is just like a fourth line at the moment. And I just, yeah. I also like Connor Dewar, okay? Shoot me.
Shocker that.
Shocker that. I like Connor Dewar.
Crazy.
Thought? It's not like I've made it like very obvious throughout the season last year on the podcast how much I like Connor Dewar.
You heard it here first.
But yeah, so Stolarz starts as well as Gustafsson for Minnesota. My first note here is Stolarz saving the Leafs' asses, because that's what he did all game long.
Yep.
Even when he didn't have a stick. Why did he keep dropping his stick?
Who knows? But like he was insane.
Yeah.
Actually insane. I just have in my notes, I just have Stolarz, I love you, with a little love heart at the end. Because where would we be without him? A lot more miserable.
A lot more miserable, yes. But yeah, so here we go. Minnesota coming off fast and aggressive. Like, they're fast and they are aggressive, and that's why I was like, okay, yeah, no. Yeah. But Ryan Hartman opens the scoring for Minnesota. Messi in front of the net. Deflection off of Tavares' stick. The goal did get reviewed for kicking because Hartman did have a distinct kicking motion. I was really, really mentally prepared to go through that debate on Twitter. Like, not like me personally start it, but like have to see it.
Yeah, to like witness it.
Yeah. It's almost worse than goaltender interference is like, what is a distinct kicking motion? But no, it went off of Tavares' stick because Tavares' stick was kicked by Ryan. And this was when I'm like, so then it doesn't count. No, but then it does count. I was like, whatever. No fault of Stolarz on that one, honestly.
No.
Like, I didn't even know how that got scored. Even like on the replay, like they had to show it from like 7 different angles before I was like, oh.
It's like, okay, that makes sense. After like the 10th time you've watched it, you're like, okay, I can see that.
Yeah. High sticking on Benoit from Kaprizov, scrum after the play from it. Connor Timmins question mark is what I have because he like started it. I was like, okay.
Like, okay. Where have you come from?
I like get like standing up for your D partner and stuff like that, but I was like, oh, Connor Timmins? Oh.
Unexpected.
It was unexpected. My favorite though is like every time there's a high stick or something like that is like the player who got like high sticked is like very much then trying to like produce blood. They're like, look, I'm bleeding.
They would love Halloween.
They would love Halloween. The Leafs changed power play, the top power play unit to the core 4 and Nyes, so went back from that like balanced thing that they were doing before and was just like, let's put our best players all on the ice at the same time.
Whoa.
Doing a good old 5-forward power play. Remember when we saw the 5-forward power play last season?
Yeah. What a time.
But yeah, there was a nice setup for Matthews by Robertson on change. I don't know. I just thought that was like a fun little thing I know as far as like, oh yeah, that's good on Robertson there. I will say also as well as I want to point this out because it was so funny, is I guess it was like an orange hat giveaway for Minnesota this game, but it created the funniest visual in the world because it was all these people wearing like these orange hats in the same. So it was like the entire like lower bowl at least was like mostly orange hats, and it was really, really funny. It created just a really funny visual. Yeah, and also as well, Leafs remember that they could score on the power play. William Nylander with the cross-seam pass from Matthews evens it up. Some fun stats with this goal. The first road power play goal of the season for Toronto. Also their first power play goal in general since October 21st versus Tampa. The shot was, and then also the shot was at the right time. Had the empty net angle. It was a cross crease. You can't exactly do that like that's not a tactic that's going to work most of the time.
Yeah.
But it worked in this occasion. You had Minnesota caught up enough in the spin cycle that they weren't like totally orientated to like react quickly enough to the pass and then the shot from Nylander, but it's not always going to work. And they need to, so you can't rely on that to be the way that you're going to score, like only way you're going to score power play goals. But it did work in that scenario, and it's nice for them to finally get one on the road because like, who knew the Leafs could score a power play goal? I didn't.
No.
So that makes their power play record by the end of this game 4 for 40. Which is so bad.
Oh my god. This team. I want to cry.
Yeah, and then there was a scrum right at the buzzer at the end of the period. this was a very messy game. And it was at this point that then my roommate asked me, hey, do these teams like hate each other? Is this a rivalry? And I was like, well, it's not a rivalry in like the traditional sense where like Toronto and Boston where they like play each other like 4 times a year. These teams play each other twice a year. Last time they played each other was like in Sweden before that, right? Like
a while ago.
Like this is the first time that Toronto has been in Minnesota in like 2 years. They never came to Minnesota last year because their road game against Minnesota was Sweden. These teams like don't like hate each other. They're just like both like physical teams.
Yeah, they both love a cheeky little.
Yeah, I was like, so they don't hate each other in like the rivalry sense, but like they hate each other in the like we're like one team is their second game of a back-to-back, so they're gonna result to playing more physical, and the other team is like, we're just gonna play more physical. Sometimes the game is just like that. Mitch Marner um went after Erickson Neck, and that was like really funny. I was like, that is peak younger brother things. It's like the little push.
He was just a little ooh.
Yeah, and then I have Benoit gets involved with Hartman. Reeves gets involved, and this is where I talk about dumb penalties. It was this in particular where I was like, this is a dumb penalty to take. Was not Benoit getting into it with Hartman because they were like engaged in a net front battle. But whistle goes off, and then Reeves has to be the third guy in.
Just why? Just making it harder for themselves. It never ends well. But
and I like it's just like this is exactly what I mean where like the Leafs take like dumb penalties because I don't like now the penalties for it was like Reeves and Hartman got coincidental penalties, so they both went off. But like it's still like no, there's no need. I don't know why Ryan Reeves felt the need to defend Simon Benoit of all people.
It's like he's a big boy. He can stand up for himself.
Yes, and I get like standing up for your teammates, but like Ryan Reeves, you're not. And I mean this with no disrespect to Simon Benoit. And in fact, this is probably even just a compliment to him. You're not there to defend Simon Benoit. You're there to defend guy, like you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that's not
why you're put on the ice.
No, you're put on the ice because you're paid $1.35 million a year. So much money.
So much money.
But yeah, Stolarz keeps losing his stick. Like I said, like it was like 7 times. It was ridiculous, and he kept making the saves. But I was like, that's so many times.
It's like a new drinking game. Take a shot every time Anthony Stolarz loses his stick.
But he continues to save the game for the Leafs. Like he very much, and this is what I loop back to, like giving your team the opportunity to win. Stolarz so much gave the Leafs the opportunity to win. In fact, he probably handed it to them on a silver platter. I don't know how much, like, I guess, okay, you could be like, well, he could have, like, made that one save on Ryan. I can't think of any goalie who would have made that save. And you could argue, be like, well, Igor's just... Guys, goalies are still human. As much as they're weirdos, they're still human beings.
Literally, you can't expect a goalie to save every single shot. That's not realistic.
Like, yes, it happens in a game. They save every single shot. That's how we get shutouts. But, like, the expectation of a goalie is just to give his team the opportunity to win. And, like, unfortunately, the Leafs could not score on the power play. They did it once and never again. And you can't, like, they scored, like, over 2 games, they scored 3 goals. 3 goals sometimes, like, isn't enough to even win you a game.
No.
So how are you supposed to, like,
do anything?
Yeah, and then I have, Scrappy again. Oliver Ekman-Larsson has a 4-minute penalty for cross-checking and pretends to not notice he got a 4-minute penalty for cross-checking and just sits on the bench, and it's the funniest comedic sequence ever. He like just like skates away and like sits on the bench and like fiddles with his helmet strap and is like, if I like sit here, will be noticed that I'm not in the box. Like... And Reeves, even it goes as far as like Reeves getting in the box, being like, "Oh, you need someone to serve a penalty? Here, I can sit and serve a penalty." Both their numbers end with 5. It can't be that much of a difference.
It was like, it reminded me of like when I was younger and I was at my grandma's house and my mum would come to pick me up, but I didn't want to go home. I'd sit there on the sofa, hands in front of my eyes, and I'd go, "If I can't see you, you can't see me. Haha, I'm not going home." That's exactly what it felt like watching all that. And I giggled.
But yeah, yes. I also have like written down here because like, I think obviously underrated storyline of the game was Nyes playing against Brock Faber. Not for the first time.
Yes. But it's always fun.
But it's always fun when like two guys who were very much like good friends as teammates before, like especially at a college level where you spend like so much time with each other playing college hockey, get to play against each other. And so I just have written down as a note because I was actually like taking it throughout the game. Like I used to do it all the time last year, and now I just don't have the time, but like I tend to forget. Yeah. My bad. But I just have a note here, Nyes checking Faber to the boards. And I was like, just like, imagine
you.
Like, because you're Brock Faber. But like it also as well, I was like, Matthew Nyes, like you're gonna kill your friend.
Literally, like, you are large. Please don't forget that. Do not break Brock Faber. Please.
I was just laughing because I was like, probably like Brock Faber's like, oh no. Like, but yeah, no, it was. Have you ever noticed how similarly they like skate though, the two of them compared to each other? Like there was one part where they were stride for stride, like in time with each other, skating through the neutral zone.
Yeah.
I don't know if you. I want to try. I don't know if maybe if you like go back and find it. I should have written down the time and stuff so I could like go back and be like, look at this clip. But it was just a zone. It was like, no, it was like whatever, nothing. It was like not even that noted. But like I noticed, I was like, oh my God, they have a very similar stride. And that probably has to do with probably some college skating coach they had. Maybe.
Yeah.
Because they didn't like grow up playing hockey. They played together in college. But like, because I always compliment Matthew Nyes' stride, especially as like a large play, like a fridge on skates, a large guy. He's a big guy. And a lot of big guys don't have the prettiest skating strides, you know, just to name a couple, you know, like Owen Power. If you watch Owen Power skate, if you watch like Malkin skate, he has a very noticeable, like not pretty. It's effective, but it's not pretty. And then you have like Justin Hall. just to name a few.
Quit.
Just name a couple of guys. Hey, you can't do that before Friday's game.
Oh, good point. Oh my God, I'm not here on Friday.
What are you doing on Friday?
I'm visiting my friend in Cambridge, and I get to go to a formal.
You get to go to a Cambridge formal?
I have a dress and everything. I'll show you afterwards. It's really nice. Can you imagine me?
You get to go to, aren't those like cult meetings? Cambridge formals?
Yeah, kind of.
Like
I get dinner though.
She goes to Cambridge, like Cambridge University.
Yeah, I get dinner though, so it's fine. I'll do a bit of cult activity if it means I get dinner.
We'll do cult activity for food.
Look, they have rhubarb crumble for pudding. I will do any.
Wait, the menu's already out for.
Yeah, she sent me it.
I'm so excited. I'm sorry, but like the like Cambridge and like Oxford, like the big like prestigious UK university formals, they're so deeply funny to me. Just the concept of them, I'm like, that's the most insane thing ever.
My school
barely even like hosts like things, like it's like school sanctioned, like not school sanctioned event. We have like sports events and stuff, but like they only started hosting like school sanctioned like parking lot parties with a DJ to stop people from flipping cars in the streets during homecoming.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's like the whole like Oxford and Cambridge.
It's a cult.
They are genuinely on like next level insane cult shit. But like I get dinner, so it's fine.
We'll engage in cult stuff. Free food.
But
Put that on a t-shirt.
I get to wear a nice dress and get really drunk.
You do get to wear a nice. Yeah. I just have another note here that just says, Anthony Stolarz, I'm in love with you. Stop losing your stick, though. It's true. I think at this point he made a really crazy stave without his stick.
Because he's insane.
And then I just have Kirill Kaprizov is really good.
Yeah.
Like it's actually insane. And like he was left, like he did not score, was not even, I don't even think he was like on the ice for any of Minnesota's goals. I say plural, spoiler alert, for what we're about to talk about. But like, he's really good. And like, I knew this. I knew how good Kirill Kaprizov is. This is not a new concept to me where I'm like discovering how good Kirill Kaprizov is like 3 years too late. I knew how good he was.
But like,
I knew how good he was. He's an absolute steal in the draft by Minnesota, and he definitely is the future of that franchise in terms of what they're gonna build around in the future. Like he's their guy, but like watching him and like it kind of takes you off guard. I think mostly because like especially among like a Canadian sports media market, you don't hear a lot about Minnesota.
Yeah.
So you don't see highlight packages that are specifically him in the same way that you would maybe even like Artemi Panarin, you would see a little bit more just because like New York, you know what I mean? If we're gonna talk about like American teams that get showcased on that get showcased on like Canadian sports media, but like Kirill Kaprizov is really good.
He's just
but yeah, Dame goes to overtime. Matthews and Marner and Riley start overtime. I have like no comments about like this like overtime start like group. Sure. I've yet to see it actually like do anything. Nothing happens in overtime when they're on the ice. Like whatever. The Leafs then go on to change 2 more times. Like they do like 3 line changes through this overtime, and it's like maybe 3 minutes of overtime. Like the Leafs you could tell they were tired. Yeah. And it was even brought up on like on the broadcast. And it's like, and I think it was Chris Cuthbert mentioned it being like, I don't know if it's a conditioning issue or like if the team isn't well conditioned, or I don't know if it's just like a back-to-back with travel issue, but like every team plays back-to-backs. Like that's not an excuse. We can't we can't use that as an excuse because every team in the NHL plays back-to-backs with travel. And if it's a conditioning issue, then that's like a problem. But yeah. So then we have to break down this goal because
put me out of my misery, please.
So the puck shoots out down towards Minnesota's end, and Max Domi chases after it. But he, for some reason, gets beat there by Jared Spurgeon. How old is Jared Spurgeon? Jared Spurgeon, who last year missed most of the season because of like a back injury. Jared Spurgeon, who is 34. He's 34?
Christ alive.
He's played his entire career with Minnesota, but Jared Jared Spurgeon, who's also like 5'9", which I think is about the same height as Max. Actually, no, Max Domi's like 5'11". Still.
Point still stands.
Point still stands. Who was he? How did he end up in Minnesota? What? Oh, he just like signed there.
Oh, vibes.
Did New York Islanders just give up his rights? That's crazy. He's like was like really good. So it's great. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted by looking at Jared Spurgeon's hockey TV page. But like, yeah, sorry. Max Domi gets beat to the puck by Jared Spurgeon, and everyone scattered. Like the Leaf guys going like it was like Jake McCabe and Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Jake McCabe, I don't know where he goes, but he like doesn't cover anyone.
No.
And Oliver Ekman-Larsson goes for a change, leaving Matt Boldy. Matt Boldy is good at hockey. I know we were just talking about how good like Kirill Kaprizov is. Matt Boldy is good at hockey. Leaving Matt Boldy like
do not leave the child unattended.
Open. He's wide open. And just the feed was good, the pass was good, and it was a 1-on-1 on just like Matt Boldy could have his way with Anthony Stolarz, and he did. And like Anthony Stolarz is great. He played a great game. The team in front of him has to still play defense. And I actually want to look at like Matt Boldy's like shootout records because I should have done this. Because he's like 23, so he doesn't have that many. Matt Boldy from Massachusetts. Yeah, 12th overall select. He's good. Like Boston College. But like I want to look at his shootout percentage, and I don't know how to do that. Scoring logs. Is it in scoring logs? It's 3 hat tricks, huh?
Nice.
Sorry, I will try and find this, but like I just want to like literally what I want to look at is I want to try and see if I can find like his shootout records. But my computer's being really slow right now. And refusing to load hockey reference. So hold on, I'm gonna do it on my phone because my phone's faster. But yeah, it was good. Like it was just
like, why are we letting this happen? Like, it's just frustrating. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Oh, wow. According to NHLrecords.com, Matt Boldy has the 39th highest all-time shootout scoring percentage.
Oh my god. That's crazy. Why are we leaving him unattended?
Yeah, no shit. He won he scored on a 1-on-0 against Anthony Stolarz. Like no shit, he scored that goal. That was it. No, because also everyone else who was like the Leafs who were then trying to defend him were like 4 feet behind him the entire fucking time. Yeah, like no shit, he could have his way with Anthony Stolarz. Like literally. What are we doing?
Not playing hockey. I can tell you that much. So you think that they wouldn't just let him just have fun and go for it.
Yeah. Like,
You'd think,
eh? But yeah, end of the Leafs 5-game win streak versus Minnesota. Team looks tired. Yeah. I also have bad in overtime. Like, the Leafs are not great in overtime. Their record is 8-12, including last season. So, like, if you start from the start of last season all the way through till now, 8-12 in overtime. Stolarz, though, this game had a .939 save percentage, 31 saves on 33 shots.
Good.
He had a great game. He had a great game.
It's a good game. Like, I think he was the one thing I couldn't complain about.
No. Like, you could find excuses to complain about everything else except for Anthony Stolarz's performances. It was fantastic. He had a great game. And I think then people are starting to then talk about being like, okay, so is he like now like the least like 1A guy? Right now, maybe. Yeah, like if the playoffs start today, he's probably the guy you're starting game 1. But like the playoffs don't start today. They start in like 6 months.
Yeah, guys, we've got a while.
Guys, come on. It's November. It's November 4th. Like, let's be so for real. But yeah. And also as well as like Joseph Wool, when he's on, right? Like, that's the thing, is like,
yeah.
The Leafs also have to play good defense in front of Joseph Wool, and that's what I'm saying. But I do want to say, because we played Minnesota, I wanted to take this opportunity to bring up Minnesota's player of the game. Did you see that? I sent you this tweet this morning. This was from last night. And I was like, okay, this is the place we're going to talk about it. But Minnesota has a player of the game thing. And last year it was a helmet. And I thought that was cool. And that was good. And it was fun. This year, I don't know who made this. I don't know who decided this is what they were going to do. Whoever it was knew exactly what, like, knew what they were doing, though.
Oh, yeah.
It is like one of those thick, like almost costume chains attached to a giant plank of wood that in all caps says hard. Yes.
This is deeply unserious. I love it.
So when you announce your, like, so when then you post your, like, it just essentially, like, like,
it's just so fucking funny.
It's like, there's like, you know, I don't even know where to start with the jokes I can make about this thing. Because
so many jokes.
Because, like, you know that like one part in Friends where that one episode of Friends where Joey gets a job as a mall elf.
Yes.
And he comes up wearing the costume and Chandler goes, "Too many jokes, must make fun." Yeah. That's exactly what I feel like right now. I'm like, there's too many possible jokes for me to make right now involving this thing. I just don't know where to start. But yeah. Because especially when the Wild post a picture of Jared Spurgeon, who I guess was their player of the game last night, wearing the chain, standing next to Marcus Foligno, and the caption on said photo wearing said hard chain is "current mood right now." Minnesota Wild Twitter admin, which I know is like, I know like the admin's very, but like person who runs Minnesota, like who is in charge of content on Twitter for the Minnesota Wild.
I love you.
You knew exactly what you were doing.
Please never stop.
Never stop. That was hilarious. You knew exactly what you were doing, though. That was so fucking funny. I laughed. The way I like was like, I wanted to send it into the offsite like work chat so badly, but I was like, that is a work chat. I cannot send that in there. So I just sent it to like everyone who I thought would be interested in it separately, like individually. But it was pretty great. I have to bring that up because like that's
they're just, oh, I love them.
Like, there's some pretty like brutal player of the game things out there. There always has been. I do think that everyone doing a belt is just stealing from the Leafs. And that's not even me going like it's all about the Leafs. That actually truly like the Leafs, you know what
yeah. It's like, be original.
Yeah. But yeah, so I have to point that out. I guess we can talk a little bit about the Leafs, and then I have some like other stuff as well to talk about.
Yeah.
So yeah, Connor Dewar and Yanni Hankapää are on a conditioning stint with the Marlies. They played one game this weekend with Cleveland, where Connor Dewar scored a goal against the Cleveland Monsters.
And what a beautiful girl it was.
It was right out of the box. It was great. I was like, yeah, that's exactly the Connor Dewar that I think like we'll be getting this year, who was doing that for Minnesota. And I don't like, and I said this like last year at the end of the year when I was like vehemently like defending Connor Dewar's offensive production. I was like, guys, he got traded. Leave him alone.
Let him breathe.
Leave him alone. But yeah, I think yeah. That. Yeah. Now they probably will not come back. Because like it's 3 games or 10 days, and it's whatever one comes first. So they were reactivated on the 1st, played Saturday against Cleveland, and now the Marlies don't play again till this weekend. So I think they can get into a game, one more game with the Marlies before they then come back to the Leafs. And then there's decisions that have to get made about who is like, then what do you do next, and like who gets sent down, because like I hate to say it, but like, and I know I absolutely roasted the Yanni Hankapää signing so deeply during the off season, but like he is your, and this is back when like I thought we would have Timothy Liljegren working out here in Toronto.
Yeah.
Is because like, yeah, I was like roasting Yanni Hankapää's fact that like the fact that his knees don't work, but like I think he's still better than Connor Timmins. Like I thought Connor Timmins was going to be our like 7th or 8th defenseman, not our 6th.
Please,
not our night in, night out 3rd pair guy. I do think a pairing of Simon Benoit and Yanni Hankapää is going to work.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And before you say, well, how do you know if Dewar's going to stay up? In case you didn't notice, because no one is eagle-eyed as me as I try to make my locker room layout, Connor Dewar has a stall in the Leafs locker room. He's staying.
He's not going anywhere.
He had and there's limited space in there. He's staying. So then it comes to like a debate of like who you send down, and I was having this, not debate, but I was talking about this with someone, and I was like, you send down, you either like you trade off Matt Benning, and you send down Myers, and someone was like, well, then that leaves like more competition for the forwards group. There was always more competition with the forwards group. Philip Myers is unfortunately not routinely battling it out with Connor Timmins for a spot every night. He's played 1 game this season.
Yeah.
We always knew this year the competition was not with the defensive group, because they just don't have the same amount of depth there as they do in the forward group. And that's where the internal competition is going to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you're like mad about that. Are you like pulling that hard for Matt Benning to like fight his way into the lineup every night? He has yet to play a game for Toronto. He's been scratched. Dude just like sits in the press box all night.
It's like his pregame.
Him and Philip Myers are probably like best friends by now.
Like
they've
his
spent
pregame
so much time up there
together. Picking out the suit that's the most comfortable to sit in.
Exactly. But yeah. Leafs play Boston on Tuesday. Yeah. It's also US election night. The smile on my face is pained. I'm so very much thrilled for that experience. I cannot wait. It's going to be so much fun.
You look overjoyed, Emma.
I feel so much joy right now. And this is where I'm like, okay, the NHL schedule's like had to have known when like U.S. election night is, and you're gonna give the matchup of Leafs and Bruins. Leafs and Bruins. That is your U.S. election night matchup that you're going to go with.
Sure.
Because you know who else plays on that? You know what other like that's the best matchup.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like Penguins and Islanders, that's okay. But it's a TSN game too. Like the Sportsnet like national broadcast game that night. Flyers and Hurricanes.
Damn. It's a matchup.
Ooh. Yeah. So yeah, I think Stolarz will probably start that game against Boston. Makes sense. Leafs then don't play until Friday against Detroit. You'll give Wool that game. Give Stolarz the game on Saturday against Montreal on Hockey Night in Canada. Yay! Yay! I'm so thrilled.
What fun.
The joy on my face is exuberant.
Wow, you're really glowing right now, Emma. Beaming. I've never seen
So
you
excited for
so
this
happy.
week. So excited for this week. It's going to be so much fun.
And
as my voice gets more and more strained as I continue to talk.
I need to stop having a life and touching grass because it's keeping me busy on weekends and I don't like it.
Oh yeah, you need to. Yeah,
it's fine.
Like I won't have.
Like, the
I
tube
won't be
is
doing anything else.
No, I've had a busy weekend.
No, I literally
just gone.
Have a busy
weekend this weekend, and then after that, I've got absolutely nothing on.
No, the only thing in my schedule for this weekend is on Sunday I have a photo shoot for the radio.
Ooh, fun.
Did I tell you about that?
No. How exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, so Boston on Tuesday. I'm guessing Stolarz will get the start. You start Joseph Wool on Friday against Detroit. Because like I don't know, that makes sense in my head.
Yeah.
Boston is good. I guess Boston will probably be starting Swayman. Boston is good. No, okay, Boston is not good actually right now.
Boston is a team.
We did. I don't know if we talked about this on the show. But I don't think we did. We didn't talk, I don't know if we talked about this on the show, but like Boston like having to pull Jeremy Swayman and put in Jonas Korpisalo. Did we talk about this on the show?
We did not.
But that happened. That was really funny.
Mm.
That was so funny. That was so deeply entertaining to me personally as someone who is a Leafs fan and also covers the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah.
I had so much fun with that. I was like, oh, this is great. But yeah, also some news from around the league. Macklin Celebrini returns tonight after being out with a hip injury. Connor McDavid is injured. We never talked about Connor McDavid being injured. He's hurt. Yeah. That sucks. It's only like what, 2 to 3 weeks. I think it was some lower body ankle thing. It was like best case scenario. I also have written down because that was like a fun little mystery today. Is like who was the mysterious Flyers player who was like practicing who was practicing like on a separate sheet, and like Flyers media wasn't allowed to like know who it was. I don't know. It was fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun. I'm trying to think of what else has happened this week.
I don't know. That's actually like really bad for me to say. Like, I don't know what's happened this week, but like,
yeah. Who knows? I don't think much has happened.
I feel like that's a total lie, but like, it was surprisingly a quiet weekend. I guess like Halloween costumes, those were fun to look at. I liked some of the Halloween costumes. It's always fun. There was more of them like this weekend, but yeah. I guess we can end the show here. I'm looking at how long it's been. It's been kind of a longer show, but we did have 3 games to get through. And on Thursday, we will only have 1 game to get through. So maybe more news will come and we'll have things to discuss.
Hopefully.
Yeah. With that being said, thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back on Thursday with another episode to break down Leafs and Bruins. And hopefully not because the world has exploded due to the results of the presidential election. We will actually be here. None of us live in the US, but like,
yeah,
I live in Canada. Our politics are so deeply impacted by what goes down in the US that like, I am still stressed. I am still nervous for Tuesday. And we may not even know the results for like 3 more days after that. So Yay! But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening. This has been more presented by Offside News. You can find Offside News on all social media platforms at Offside News Co. You can also find them on their website to read more of their articles. There was just one today, actually, that went up about goalie interference. That was very well written. That explained goalie interference and what it is. And I think that's great because we don't really know what it is ever. I pretend to know what it is, and usually I'm right. Which
whoa, shocker.
So it's I'm right all the time.
You're always right.
You're always put that on a t-shirt. I am always right. From the Fourth Line podcast.
Brilliant.
Presented by Offside News. You can also find, well, you can find that stuff. You can also find a link to their store where they do have merch. That's not ours, but for the website. offsidenewsco.com. It's really fun. There's articles going up there every single day. It's great. It's so great. They're always great to read. My favorite to read, my favorite that are coming out right now is actually Cody's series on the history of like the NHL. It's like 6-part every Sunday. There's a new part that comes out. It's great. There's like 4 parts out now if you haven't read any of them, and they're great. They're so fun to read. As someone who already knows a lot about the history of the NHL, it's really fun to just read about it all the time. And Cody's really funny. He has good jokes. So go read it. But yeah, go read it. You can, but if you want to never miss another podcast episode, you can follow the show on Twitter at From the Fourth Line. That's fourth with the number 4th. Or if you really miss us between episodes, we're really funny on Twitter. You can go follow us there as well. That's 60 Leafs for Marcie, at Parapy1 for myself. You can find our show wherever you get your podcast. I'm doing this so out of order. This has been Offside News. Not Offside News. We're not. We're presented by Offside News. Look, I've been drinking a cup of coffee. That is my second of the day slowly throughout this episode, and I think it's becoming more and more apparent that that's what I've been doing as we do the show because of how rambly this outro is. But we'll be back on Thursday. Another episode. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye. And go Leafs go.
Go Leafs go.